Chapter 768. The Devouring Island had 6 islands in total. The number 1 island had the most people, 80,000, and the number 2 was slightly less, around 50 to 60,000. The 3rd island was 30,000, the 4th was close to 30,000, the 5th was 15,000, and the 6th was 3 to 4,000. The total population of the 6 islands was more than 200,000. Although most of them were astral reaching realm warriors, and less than 1/10 of them were Sea of Souls realm warriors, the population was still there. According to the rules of the Black Water Alliance, an astral reaching realm warrior would have to hand over 3 Jin Yuan crystals to the Black Water Alliance every month, and Sea of Souls realm warriors would have to hand over 15. After a month, the accumulated Jin Yuan crystals would definitely be shocking. Plus, it should not be forgotten that most of the Jin Yuan crystals collected by the Dark Power parties would belong to the Black Water Alliance as well. In other words, the Black Water Alliance would have 2 portions of income, one would be the Jin Yuan crystals that everyone handed over, and the other would be the Jin Yuan crystals handed over by the Dark Power parties. If Yi Chen wanted to clear his debt and leave the island, he would have to think about the Black Water Alliance. Who is it? On this massive mountain peak, there were countless powerful warriors. Countless human figures flew out of the palace, moving as fast as lightning. Yi Chen's speed did not decrease at all. With his body as the starting point, a horrifying destructive sword intent shot out, carrying the will to destroy everything. It swept across in a straight line. That kind of brutal and pure aura made all of the powerful warriors from the Black Water Alliance feel a chill in their bodies, and their souls were in chaos. All of a sudden, all of the flowers and trees on the mountain peak were wiped out without a trace. At this moment, warriors whose martial will had not reached the 5th step, or were not even half-step king warriors would not have the courage to fight at all. Let's go in. Within a blink of an eye, Yi Chen and Murong Qingcheng had already arrived outside of the palace on top of the mountain. Stop right there. All of a sudden, 4 half-step king warriors whose power was not weaker than the tough king jumped out from 4 directions, trying to stop Yi Chen and Murong Qingcheng. Yi Chen smiled lightly as he took out his Thunder Disaster Sword and waved it out in 4 different directions. 4 beams of black sword chi were thrown out almost at the same time. The 4 warriors went back the way they had come, puking out a huge mouthful of blood. Crack! After blowing away the 4 of them, Yi Chen raised his Thunder Disaster Sword up high and chopped down. The palace was instantly cut in half like a fruit. Not here. Yi Chen glanced around, but did not find any place that could possibly store Jin Yuan crystals. However, he was not in a hurry. With another slash of his sword, the left half of the palace was split into 2. Just like that, Yi Chen swung his sword to the east and to the west. The originally majestic and luxurious palace was like a fruit platter, turning into pieces and strips, falling to the left and right. I found the crystal vault. When Yi Chen swung his sword for the 18th time, the momentum of his sword met with resistance. A cold glint flashed in Yi Chen's eyes. He held his sword with both hands and swung it down. Boom! A large expanse of light blossomed, and everything in front of him suddenly became clear. This was a vault made entirely of crystals. The crystals were not Jin Yuan crystals, but a kind of energy crystal that could be used to set up arrays. The resistance just now was precisely the power of the array, which had been shattered by Yi Chen's full-power sword attack. Inside the broken vault was a stone platform. On top of it was a floating light sphere, and inside the sphere was a storage ring. Taking a step forward, Yi Chen arrived beside the light sphere and reached out his hand. Bang! The light ball suddenly shook, bouncing off Yi Chen's palm, making it impossible for him to exert any force. It's the power of space. Yi Chen could feel that the light sphere contained an extremely pure power of space. Normal attacks would not be able to touch it. If one tried to forcefully attack it, the light sphere would break the space and escape into the void. In other words, without knowing the method to open it, no one under life and death realm would be able to obtain the storage ring inside. Slowly letting out a breath of impure qi, Yi Chen extended his right index finger. The void around his finger gradually twisted, emitting a fluctuation that was similar to the light sphere. It was indeed the power of space. Break. Yi Chen poked at the light sphere. Pop. A popping sound was heard as the light sphere shattered. Without the light sphere's support, the storage ring fell down and was grabbed by Yi Chen. After obtaining the storage ring, Yi Chen immediately released his soul power into the storage ring. This storage ring didn't have a soul imprint, so Yi Chen's soul power went straight in, entering its internal space. So big. The storage ring's internal space was much bigger than Yi Chen had imagined. It was more than 20 times the size of a mid-grade storage ring, like a huge plaza. On this flat ground, there were piles of huge chests that were half the height of a human. These chests were all open, and through the gaps, one could see the glittering crystal radiance inside. 10 chests, 100 chests, 200 chests, there were so many chests that they almost covered a quarter of the flat ground. Roughly speaking, there were about 200 to 250 chests. According to the size of the Zhen Yuan crystals and the chests, it was not hard to estimate that one chest could hold 10,000 Zhen Yuan crystals. 200 chests would be more than 2 million Zhen Yuan crystals. Take a look. Yi Chen handed the storage ring to Murong Qingcheng. Murong Qingcheng took the storage ring and poured her soul power into it. So much? Blackwater Alliance can collect more than 2 million Zhen Yuan crystals in a month? Murong Qingcheng asked suspiciously. Yi Chen shook his head. It should be more than 1 month. It should be 3 months. This month has not arrived yet, so I guess they have only collected a part of it. Based on this, the Blackwater Alliance should be collecting around 1 million Zhen Yuan crystals per month. As for how many months they would transport them, I am not sure. If they were to transport the crystals, they would have to be sent by half-step king warriors, which would cost 100,000 Zhen Yuan crystals per trip. One would not be safe, and a few more would add up to hundreds of thousands of Zhen Yuan crystals. It was not a small number at all. Blackwater Alliance had considered this point, which was why they did not transport the crystals every month. Otherwise, it would not benefit Yi Chen so much. There was no mistake this time. 150,000 should be enough. Yi Chen let out a deep breath as a smile appeared on his face. 2 million Zhen Yuan crystals were priceless, and a top-grade storage ring was priceless as well. Although they had been tricked by the Blackwater Alliance, the items they had collected were more than enough. Let's go now. Yi Chen took out the stone altar. All of a sudden, the space above the mountain rippled, and 2 figures appeared. One was Sima Zongwen, and the other was a dignified young man with a purple gold crown on his head. The young man looked to be in his 30s, but his real age was probably in his 40s. His long and narrow eyes emitted a tangible killing intent. As soon as he appeared, his gaze locked onto Yi Chen in the palace. It's the Crown Prince. The Crown Prince has arrived. Upon seeing Sima Zongwen and the young man, the experts of the Blackwater Alliance revealed ecstatic expressions. Then, they looked at Yi Chen as if they were looking at a dead man. Yi Chen sized up the young man and inwardly said, "What a profound cultivation base. Twice as high as the explosive Flame King. Is he a strongest half-step king? Crown Prince, it's him." Sima Zongwan glanced at the peak and the ruined palace, and finally fixed his eyes on the stone platform at the center of the crystal warehouse. Seeing that the light ball on the stone platform had disappeared, he roared as if he had seen a ghost, "You dare to rob the crystal warehouse of my Blackwater Alliance?" The Zhen Yuan crystals that the Blackwater Alliance collected on the Devouring Island would only be transported out once every 6 months. This time, it had only been less than 3 months. Even so, there were still more than 2 million Zhen Yuan crystals in the treasury. It would be terrible if they were robbed. Consider this compensation from the Blackwater Alliance. Yi Chen didn't care about the furious Sima Zongwen at all. You. Sima Zongwen's face turned ashen. State your name. The young man in luxurious robes didn't make a sound. Only when Sima Zongwen said that Yi Chen had plundered the treasury did his expression change. His face turned gloomy, revealing his killing intent. Why don't you introduce yourself? Yi Chen said. Wang Tai. The young man in luxurious robes looked down from above. Yi Chen. Nodding, Yi Chen stated his name. Yi Chen, never heard of you. But, it doesn't matter. Hand over the Zhenyuan crystals, and I'll leave your corpse intact. Otherwise, you and your girlfriend will wish you were dead. Wang Tai's voice was extremely gloomy, carrying a bone-piercing chill. Sorry, but the choice is mine. Yi Chen took out 150,000 Zhenyuan crystals and threw them on the stone platform. Courting death. Wang Tai was enraged. Spreading his 5 fingers, he sent a palm toward Yi Chen and Murong Qingqing. Roar. A dragon roar resounded as Wang Tai's 5 fingers emitted a boundless qi energy. The 5 qi energies were like 5 water dragons, coiling together and pressing down on the mountain peak. At this moment, all living things seemed to have lost their will. Only the frightening dragon roars could be heard, distorting the space around the entire mountain peak. A strongest half-step king, as expected. Yi Chen's pupils shrank. Buzz. The moment the 5 water dragons attacked, Yi Chen and Murong Qingqing disappeared. Having lost their target, the 5 water dragons immediately lost control and smashed the huge mountain peak into pieces. Their wriggling bodies drilled up and down in the dust. It was a scene of apocalypse. You're dead. There's no place for you in this world. The killing intent in Wang Tai's eyes seemed to be able to pierce through the void. The moment Yi Chen disappeared, a faintly discernible voice reached Yi Chen's ears. I'll be waiting for you. Yi Chen's voice came from the void. Humph. Hearing Yi Chen's voice, Wang Tai tightly clenched his right fist, causing the ground below to crack. Crown Prince, this bastard took away more than 2 million Zhenyuan crystals. We can't let him escape. Sima Zongwen was about to go crazy. Although Yi Chen's strength was too high, and the loss of the treasury had nothing to do with him, the Blackwater Alliance couldn't let him off the hook. Moreover, his lucrative position as Zongwen would be in jeopardy. Wang Tai coldly said, those who aren't from my Blackwater Alliance will only appear in one place after being transported out of the Devouring Island, the chaotic demonic ocean. After I leave, I'll lead a group of people to hunt him down. As for you, go to the Alliance headquarters and beg for forgiveness. After speaking, Wang Tai took out the Zhenyuan crystals he had prepared and directly tossed them into the air. With a swish, the Zhenyuan crystals disappeared, and Wang Tai's figure also gradually faded away. Chapter 769. It was not Yi Chen's first time experiencing it, so it should not be too bad for him. However, the truth was the opposite. Both Yi Chen and Murong Qingqing felt extremely uncomfortable after being teleported out of the Devouring Island. Not only did they feel dizzy, but their blood and Zhenyuan also started to flow in the opposite direction, as if they were about to burst out of their bodies. This state lasted for a long time. Gradually, a flash of light appeared in the chaotic nothingness. The light was extremely dazzling, as if many spears of light were condensing and stabbing towards them. Pop! The two were teleported out of the chaotic world. What a strange teleportation. Yi Chen had not regained his sense of direction and balance yet, so he just floated in place, waiting for his body to recover. Murong Qingqing did the same. They did not lose control for long. About 10 breaths later, the two completely recovered. Originally, I thought that the Devouring Island was just a lost plane. Now, it seems that it is not so simple. Yi Chen looked around and realized that they were on the vast ocean. He let out a sigh of relief and said to Murong Qingqing. Murong Qingqing nodded. The Devouring Island's rules are different from Elysium's. If it is a lost plane, then the rules should be similar to Elysium's. Yi Chen said, we can think about the Devouring Island later. But this ocean is a bit strange. Although the ocean beneath their feet was no different from other oceans, and there was nothing strange about it, Yi Chen had a feeling that the ocean below was darker and more ruthless than other places. Occasionally, small fishes and shrimps darted out, giving off an awe-inspiring feeling. It is demonic qi. Murong Qingqing said. Demonic qi. Yi Chen suddenly understood. No wonder he felt that it was familiar. It was the source of demonic power, demonic qi. Murong Qingqing continued, I can feel that the demonic qi is coming from the bottom of the ocean. The deeper we go, the stronger the demonic qi. Then isn't this your paradise? Yi Chen smiled. The demonic energy here is indeed very dense, but it's also mixed with other things. Murong Qingqing, who possessed pure demonic energy, seemed to have sensed something and looked toward the northwest. In the northwest direction, a large black dot had appeared out of nowhere. The black dot was moving at an extremely fast speed. In the blink of an eye, it was still on the horizon, but in the blink of an eye, it was already more than 100 miles away. Moreover, it was flying towards Yi Chen's direction at an astonishing speed. If an ordinary person encountered such a situation, they would have already hurriedly avoided it. However, Yi Chen and Murong Qingqing had not yet figured out the situation, so they naturally would not avoid it in order to avoid any unnecessary misunderstandings. Of course, these black dots were not black dots, but human figures. These figures were divided into two groups. The group in front had fewer people, only 7 or 8 people, while the group behind had more than 30 people. The two groups were chasing each other. What surprised Yi Chen was that the group in front had a demonic beast shadow behind them, while the group in the back also had a faint demonic qi ripple on their bodies. It's the half-monster clan and the demonic human clan. Yi Chen exclaimed in surprise. Yes. Murong Qingqing's face turned slightly solemn. When they were less than a few miles away from Yi Chen and Murong Qingqing, the group of 7 or 8 people from the half-monster clan was caught up by the group of 30 demonic humans. These 7 or 8 people were led by a white-robed woman. She looked around as if she was facing a great enemy. Her eyes swept past Yi Chen and Murong Qingqing, and she blinked her eyes as if she was hinting at something. Should be from the Silvermoon White Fox clan, not bad at all. The phantom of the white fox behind the white-robed woman was very clear, and there was a silver crescent moon imprinted on the white fox's forehead. It was not hard for Yi Chen to guess that she was the descendant of the Silvermoon White Fox King and a human. As for the white-robed woman's blinking eyes, it should be a signal for them to leave. Miss, we'll stop them, you run quickly. The young man next to the white-robed woman said anxiously when he saw that they were surrounded by many demonic humans. The white-robed woman said, Our Silvermoon White Fox clan is not an ordinary demonic fox clan. We have never abandoned our clansmen. Miss, don't argue at this time. You staying here is useless, as long as you can avenge us in the future, it's fine. The old man on the white-robed woman's right tried to persuade her. The white-robed woman smiled bitterly, Do you think I can escape? Even if I can escape for a while, they will still catch up in the end. At that time, I'll be the only one left. It's better for everyone to risk their lives now, maybe we will have a chance to survive. Why aren't you running anymore? I've chased you for 3 days and 3 nights, I thought I could play for a few more days. The demonic human in the lead was a middle-aged man with an abnormally robust body. His upper body was naked, and his muscles were like streamlined metal. His arms had already lost the shape of a human, becoming 2 extremely thick black arms. 2 sharp white bones extended from his elbows and shoulders, and the hand that held the spear had sharp, curved nails that flickered with a strange black light. Just like the middle-aged demonic human, the other demonic humans all had their upper bodies naked, and there was always a part of their body that was different from ordinary humans, like demons or devils. Demonic transformation. Yi Chen could tell that these demonic humans could all transform, and the part of their transformation was extremely sinister, far more frightening than the demonic humans on True Spirit Continent. Our Silvermoon Arctic Fox clan has no enmity with your demonic humans. Why do you have to force us? Do you really think our Silvermoon Arctic Fox clan is easy to bully? The white-robed woman held a silver-white thin sword in her hand, her expression stern. Hee, who doesn't know that Chaotic Demon Ocean is our demonic human clan's territory? Since you're here, you'll have to accept our management. Put down your weapons and follow us back obediently, and we might let you live. Otherwise, apart from you, everyone else will die. The middle-aged demonic human grinned. Don't think I don't know what you're planning. In these years, countless demonic beasts have disappeared in Chaotic Demon Ocean. Most of them were captured by you guys. The white-robed woman also didn't want to come to Chaotic Demon Ocean. Although the ocean was extremely evil and rich in demonic chi, it was precisely because of this unique environment that some rare spirit plants grew here. The white-robed woman had come precisely for the demonic silver grass. Since you already know, why bother asking? Are you going to follow us obediently, or are you going to fight and leave behind a few corpses? The middle-aged demonic human's arms were shrouded in a layer of black chi, as if they were demonic arms burning with ghost flames. Don't even think about it. The white-robed woman clenched her teeth. In that case, don't blame me for being ruthless. The middle-aged demonic human's expression turned even more sinister. However, he didn't immediately attack the white-robed woman and the others. Instead, he said to a demonic human beside him in a low voice, "Iron Bones, take a group and surround those two. If they're willing to surrender, then that's fine. If not, kill that young man." Yes. The demonic human called Iron Bones was much stronger than the middle-aged demonic human. His exposed upper body was like a small mountain. His right arm and half of his body were covered in a layer of black bone armor. This bone armor grew out of his flesh and was extremely thick with spiral patterns on its surface. I didn't expect to have to fight you demonic humans right after coming here. How could Yi Chen not see that these demonic humans didn't want to let them go? Demonic humans, there's no difference. The only difference is whether we're enemies or not. Murong Qingqing didn't have a good impression of these demonic humans. The demonic humans here had already changed. Their auras were extremely violent and murderous. Go. The middle-aged demonic human waved his hand. More than 20 demonic humans pounced at the white-robed woman's group. On the other hand, the demonic human called Iron Bone led 10 demonic humans and shot toward Yi Chen's direction like black lightning bolts. In the blink of an eye, Yi Chen and the white-robed woman were surrounded. "Kid, seal your own Jin Yuan, and I can spare your life." As if Murong Qingqing's temperament had an astonishing attraction for him, the demonic human called Iron Bones didn't target Murong Qingqing. Instead, he fiercely roared at Yi Chen. "With just the few of you?" Yi Chen sized up the 10. Apart from the demonic human who spoke, the others hadn't reached half-step king realm. Of course, once a demonic human transformed, their strength would multiply. These demonic humans who hadn't reached half-step king realm should be able to contend against ordinary half-step kings. Seems like you want to die. Iron Bones narrowed his eyes and waved his palm. "Kill." Immediately, 5 demonic humans charged at Yi Chen. 5 late Sea of Soul Realm demonic humans were enough to make ordinary half-step kings retreat. As far as Iron Bones was concerned, Yi Chen, who wasn't a half-step king, wouldn't be able to block even a single move. However, he was wrong. Without even drawing his sword, Yi Chen raised his right index and middle fingers and casually waved. With a swoosh, a dark golden ripple spread out. The 5 demonic humans spurted out blood, and a bone-deep wound appeared on their chests. Then, they fell toward the ocean below. All of you, go. You too, deal with that woman. You must capture her. Iron Bones was gobsmacked as he roared. No matter how many come, they'll all die. Yi Chen's fingers moved like lightning, condensing a small thunderball at the tip. Puff. 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 3 soft sounds rang out, and the 3 demonic humans had a charred hole on their foreheads. The hole didn't seem big, but the back of their heads had exploded into nothingness. They didn't even see how Yi Chen had attacked, and died without knowing why. On the other side, the 2 demonic humans fighting with Murong Qingcheng were indescribably frightened. The demonic qi on their bodies immediately crumbled the moment it struck Murong Qingcheng's body, not posing any threat at all. It was as if Murong Qingcheng was a black hole devouring demonic qi. Rip. With a palm chop, Murong Qingcheng chopped off the head of a demonic human. The other demonic human gathered his courage and punched at her. Murong Qingcheng's right hand grabbed the opponent's head first, and an extremely pure demonic power gathered in her palm. You too, the demonic human's eyes widened. He could feel that Murong Qingcheng's palm didn't contain Jin Yuan, but pure demonic power. This kind of demonic power could only be possessed by a perfect demonic human bloodline. Moreover, it was a woman. If he brought this news back, the entire demonic human race would be shaken. Unfortunately, he wouldn't have the chance. Murong Qingcheng's demonic power shot out from her palm, and the demonic human's head was immediately annihilated. Iron Bones didn't have the mind to care about Murong Qingcheng's side. All of his attention was on Yi Chen. In just a split second, the 8 demonic humans attacking Yi Chen had all died miserably. Moreover, he himself was actually not Yi Chen's opponent. His entire body was in pain, and his bones were on the verge of breaking. This armor piece's defense isn't bad. Yi Chen said unhurriedly. His fingers suddenly pierced through Iron Bone's defense and swept across his throat. Puff. A putrid blood sprayed out. Iron Bones clutched his neck and fell from the sky. Chapter 770. On the other side, the white-robed woman's group was surrounded by more than 20 demonic humans. They were barely able to hold on until now because the Silvermoon White Fox race's members had an advantage in speed and agility. Secondly, the White Fox phantom behind the white-robed woman was abnormally agile. The silver crescent moon on her forehead flickered from time to time, emitting a clear silver radiance. This silver radiance would immediately stick to the members of the Silvermoon White Fox race the moment it came into contact with them. The members of the Silvermoon White Fox race who were enveloped by the silver radiance all had their battle prowess greatly increase and were no longer afraid of death. However, the demonic humans not only had more people, but they also had more experts than the Silvermoon White Fox race. The reason they had been fighting until now was because they wanted to win without losing a single person. If there were no accidents, the Silvermoon White Fox race wouldn't be able to cause any waves. What? Iron Bones was killed. The middle-aged demonic man, who hadn't exerted his full strength, took a glance at Yi Chen's side. What entered his eyes was Iron Bone clutching his neck and falling down from the sky, blood gushing out from between his fingers. Meanwhile, Yi Chen and Murong Qingcheng were completely unharmed. This discovery shocked him greatly. Although Iron Bones wasn't as strong as him, he didn't dare to ignore the defensive power of the demonized bone armor. Don't fight anymore. Kill everyone except her. The middle-aged demonic human decisively decided to end the battle quickly. He would first capture the white-robed woman and then reorganize his men to deal with Yi Chen and Murong Qingcheng. He wanted them to pay a heavy price. As he spoke, the middle-aged demonic human didn't stay idle either. He held a long spear as thick as a bowl and thrust it towards the white-robed woman's chest. The white-robed woman's cultivation wasn't weak. She was a genuine half-step demonic beast king. Her movement technique was agile, and her clothes fluttered in the wind as she slashed out with her sword. Clang! The dragon-like spear shadow collided with the silver semicircle sword energy and exploded into thousands of light dots. Pfft. In terms of agility, the white-robed woman was naturally above the middle-aged demonic human. However, in terms of attack power, she was much weaker. This short exchange made her feel as if she was struck by lightning. She couldn't help but spit out a small mouthful of blood, staining the white robe in front of her chest. Lose for me. The middle-aged demonic man's eyes were ferocious as he swung his spear at the white-clothed woman. Facing this thunderous attack, the white-clothed woman who had lost the initiative was about to be struck by the spear. Dang! Right at this moment, a crescent-shaped sword energy flew over from afar. It was like a dazzling aurora, but also like a heavenly dog eating the moon. It struck the middle-aged demonic man's spear, causing it to fly out of his hand. The middle-aged demonic man's mouth started to bleed, and a layer of skin was scraped off. Puff! The spear flew out of his hand like a skewer of candied haws, piercing through the group of demonic men in a straight line. The remaining force of the crescent-shaped sword energy was even more ferocious. With a single blow, most of the demonic men, including the middle-aged demonic man, were swept away, dying miserably. It turned out that at the crucial moment, Yi Chen had made his move, and his first move was the peerlessly powerful waning moon. Ah! The white-clothed woman cried out in shock. She was frightened by the scene in front of her. It's him. The Silvermoon White Fox race, whose pressure had been greatly reduced, noticed that the one who had attacked was Yi Chen, who was wielding the Thunder Sword. He had attacked from several li away. Damn it! With just one sword, the demonic men had suffered heavy casualties. Only a few of them were left. The middle-aged demonic man's mouth was bleeding, and his chest felt stuffy. He was pushed back several li by the crescent-shaped sword energy. All the bones in his body were on the verge of breaking, especially his arms, which had suffered the most damage. He could barely lift them up. Raising his head, the middle-aged demonic man looked at Yi Chen with a venomous gaze and said, "You're dead." In the chaotic demonic sea, no one has ever dared to provoke my demonic man race. Those who kill will always be killed. If the other party hadn't provoked him first, Yi Chen wouldn't have been so ruthless. But since the other party wanted to kill, he couldn't be blamed. "Humph, I want to see how you're going to kill me." The middle-aged demonic man roared towards the sky. Circles of evil black rings spread out. These black rings were like living creatures, twisting towards the injured demonic man next to him. Amidst the miserable screams of the other, the black rings sucked out all of his essence chi, flesh, and blood, and then filled the middle-aged demonic man's body. Crackle! The middle-aged demonic man's body twisted and swelled, as if there were countless snakes slithering under his skin. It was extremely disgusting and cruel, giving people a hair-raising feeling. Rumble! The demonic chi on the middle-aged demonic man was already very dense. After devouring a large amount of essence chi, the demonic chi fluctuations immediately caused the weather to change. Dark clouds gathered in the sky, and black lightning bolts danced everywhere. Crack! A black lightning bolt struck the middle-aged demonic man's body. As the demonic chi retracted, everyone could clearly see the middle-aged demonic man's appearance. Demonic man. The middle-aged demonic man looked no different from a demonic man. His skin had turned black and keratinized. His elbows, shoulders, knees, and ankles had sharp, curved bones. His feet and palms had turned into claws. His fingernails were as sharp as knives, and they were purple-black. His eyes were blood red, and the whites of his eyes had disappeared. Roar! The middle-aged demonic man roared at Yi Chen. The human part of his voice had already disappeared, leaving behind only cruelty and ruthlessness. Be careful. Although the demonic man has lost most of his reason, his speed and strength have increased explosively. It's equivalent to overdrafting his life force and potential. His regenerative ability has also increased tenfold. As a demonic human, Muron Qingqing was very clear about the demonic man. Even a part of it had the side effect of eroding one's intelligence, not to mention the complete demonic man. Although the demonic human's lifespan was greatly reduced, their strength was frightening. This is the first time I've seen a complete demonic man. Yi Chen also knew about the complete demonic man. This was the reason why some people on True Spirit Continent were targeting demonic humans. Of course, as far as Yi Chen was concerned, demonic humans were not much of a threat. After all, there were too few of them, and they couldn't stir up any waves. Young master, many thanks for saving us. The white-robed woman and the rest could see the middle-aged demonic man's frightening strength, so they flew to Yi Chen's side. Yi Chen said, "It's nothing much. There's no need to thank me. Young master, don't be careless. The reason why demonic humans can dominate chaotic demon ocean is not only because this is chaotic demon ocean, but also because they can transform completely. This man is one of the most powerful half-step demonic human kings. Once he transforms completely, he will be extremely frightening." Clearly, the white-robed woman had some understanding of demonic humans. Yi Chen faintly nodded. "You'll all die. Hee hee." The middle-aged demonic man bent his knee and fiercely shot out. Xiao. The distance of several li seemed to have been ignored, and even Yi Chen couldn't see its exact trajectory. Clang. While everyone was dumbfounded, Yi Chen made his move. He raised his sword to meet the middle-aged demonic man's claw, causing sparks to fly everywhere. Clang. 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 Following that, the middle-aged demonic man launched a series of attacks. His attack trajectories flickered, and besides Yi Chen, no one could see them clearly. If it weren't for Yi Chen, he would have been killed in a single move. This was the destructive power of extreme speed. With the spiritual sword, although Yi Chen couldn't see the middle-aged demonic man's movement trajectory, he was always able to block the other's attack. Die. After attacking for a long time without success, the middle-aged demonic man became even more ruthless. His eyes turned red as he drew scarlet arcs in the air, creating a soul-stirring scene. Ding 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 ding, the speed at which the two exchanged blows was unimaginably fast. Suddenly, Yi Chen yelled with a low voice, "9-sword attack." With a clang, the blood remnant sword at his waist automatically unsheathed. Under Yi Chen's control, it divided into 3, 3 into 5, 5 into 9. 9 sword images circled around, moving as fast as the Aurora Phantom. Even the middle-aged demonic man couldn't completely dodge the flying swords, and was slashed countless times. Swish! The middle-aged demonic man's legs shot out, escaping the range of the flying swords. The middle-aged demonic man's abdomen, back, and legs had several bone-deep sword scars. The one on his chest was the result of Yi Chen's spiritual sword. The sword chi pierced through the skin and injured the opponent's internal organs. However, in the next moment, everyone frowned. The flesh inside the middle-aged demonic man's wound wriggled like worms, joining together and entangling with each other. As the insides healed, his hard skin automatically healed, leaving behind only a faint scar. If one didn't look carefully, they wouldn't be able to see it. What a powerful regenerative ability. This was the first time Yi Chen had seen an ability below life and death realm that could rival his undying body. Just this point alone was enough for the middle-aged demonic man to grind to death people on the same level as him. Hee hee, I'll see how long you can last. The middle-aged demonic man's mouth curled, and his expression turned fierce. Bring it on. Go. His left hand pointed, and the blood remnant sword turned into 9 sword images once more. Get lost. The middle-aged demonic man roared, and his body fiercely spun like a spinning top. His claws, feet, elbows, and knees all deflected the 9 sword images, leaving him unscathed. With a swish, the middle-aged demonic man's body flickered, drawing an arc in the void as he attacked Yi Chen from the side. Sword Light Flight Art. The Zhen Yuan outside Yi Chen's body surged, and 5 sword lights formed a pair of simple sword wings on his back. With a swish, he dodged the attack. Puff puff puff. The middle-aged demonic man no longer had any rationality, but his battle instincts were even stronger. 3 sharp spikes shot out from his back, enveloping Yi Chen. Ding ding. Yi Chen didn't expect the middle-aged demonic man to have this kind of move. Caught off guard, he only managed to deflect 2 of the spikes, while the third one landed on his protective Zhen Yuan. With a ping sound, the protective Zhen Yuan didn't break. At the crucial moment, Yi Chen activated his bronze armor, greatly increasing his defense. Die. The middle-aged demonic man turned around and pounced over. You're the one who's going to die. Yi Chen stopped his backward momentum and did not try to dodge. Instead, he jumped forward. Rumble. The collision of the two caused a huge tsunami, which spread out in all directions and reached hundreds of meters high. Above the distorted space, Yi Chen and the middle-aged demonic man pressed against each other due to the powerful inertia, creating a time-like effect. When the effect disappeared, the middle-aged demonic man's left hand turned into a fist and punched at Yi Chen's chest. However, Yi Chen didn't try to block this move. Instead, he raised his Thunder Disaster sword and slashed at the middle-aged demonic man's head. His sword speed was even faster than the opponent's. Poochie. A head flew up while Yi Chen was also sent flying, spurting out a small mouthful of blood. Chapter 771. Strictly speaking, the middle-aged demonic man's strength was more or less the same as Yi Chen's. The middle-aged demonic man's speed was fast and his profound martial skills were powerful, but the latter's sword speed was faster and his profound martial skills were more powerful. The reason for this outcome was not strength, but intelligence. After the middle-aged demonic man had completely demonized, he had lost more than half of his intelligence. He was single-mindedly focused on killing Yi Chen, completely disregarding his own life and death. This kind of fearless style was good, but one couldn't blindly pursue it. That would be courting death. Seeing through the middle-aged man's weakness, Yi Chen took a punch at the last moment and killed him. The process was just that simple. Wisdom is something that high-level beings cannot lack. Yi Chen shook his head. Of course, Yi Chen wasn't mocking the middle-aged man's stupidity. After all, the middle-aged man wasn't a complete demonization, so he wasn't his match. Dead. The white-robed lady's eyes shrunk in shock. Yi Chen's strength was beyond her imagination. Even half-step demonic beast kings of the Silvermoon White Fox tribe wouldn't be Yi Chen's match. Miss, this kid is probably a disciple of some super clan or sect. He probably came to the chaotic demonic ocean to train himself. The old man beside the white-robed lady said. The more powerful a force was, the more outstanding disciples they could cultivate. The two were directly proportional. To be called a super force, it was at least peak 5th grade, or even 4th grade. From the old man's point of view, Yi Chen's background was absolutely terrifying. It wasn't something ordinary people could imagine. Elder Gu, I don't care who he is. I only know that he saved all of our lives. The white-robed lady said. That's true. The old man called Elder Gu smiled faintly and curiously sized up Yi Chen. The middle-aged man was dead after his head was chopped off. His neck spurted out a large amount of blood, and his flesh was wriggling like slimy worms. Unfortunately, he hadn't reached the flesh derivation realm, so he couldn't escape death. The middle-aged man wasn't an exception. Splash! After struggling for a moment, the headless middle-aged man fell from the sky and into the sea, sinking instantly. In this battle, more than 30 human devils were completely annihilated. I am Yu Bingxin, a disciple of the Silvermoon White Fox clan. May I know your name? Yu Bingxin took a deep breath and stepped on the void, slowly arriving in front of Yi Chen. I am Yi Chen. Putting away the Thunder Disaster sword, Yi Chen looked at Yu Bingxin and said. I can't thank you enough for your kindness. If young Master Yi doesn't mind, you and Miss Morong can come to my house as guests. I can entertain the two of you. Yi Chen shook his head and said, there's no need for that. I'm not familiar with this place yet. You can just introduce me to it as repayment for saving my life. You two don't know this place? Yu Bingxin asked. I only heard you say that this is the chaotic demonic ocean, but I don't know the specifics. Nodding, Yu Bingxin said, this place is indeed the chaotic demonic ocean. The reason why it is called the chaotic demonic ocean is because there is a vast amount of demonic qi leaking out from an unknown place at the bottom of the ocean, turning this ocean into a demonic ocean. There are many powers here, but the overlord is the demonic human clan. It is said that the demonic human clan migrated here from another place hundreds of years ago. At that time, this was just an ordinary ocean, and there was no demonic human clan here. Yu Bingxin explained slowly. Migrated here hundreds of years ago? From where? Could there be a large number of demonic human clan in other places? Hearing this, Yi Chen and Murong Qingqing had many questions. But from the others' tone, they didn't seem to know much about the origin of the demonic human clan. What is the strength of the demonic human clan here? The one who asked this question was Murong Qingqing. Yu Bingxin honestly replied, terrifyingly strong. In the chaotic demonic ocean, there are 10 great demonic human clans. Each clan has a demonic human king overseeing it. The strongest clan has 3 demonic human kings, and one of them might be a demonic human emperor. Demonic human emperor? Is this true? Murong Qingqing was slightly astonished. True Spirit Continent also had demonic human kings, and 2 of them at that. However, there was not a single demonic human emperor. Who would have thought that there would be a demonic human emperor in the chaotic demonic ocean? This is only a rumor, but I believe that it is most likely true. Otherwise, the 5th grade powers around chaotic demonic ocean wouldn't be so apprehensive. Moreover, a world-shaking battle took place in the chaotic demonic ocean 100 years ago. The scale of that battle was extremely vast, and even the zenith sky was torn apart. The space became chaotic, and it should have been the result of a battle between a titled monarch and a demonic human emperor. Yu Bingxin spoke everything she knew. Perhaps this chaotic demonic ocean is the headquarters of the demonic human clan in Elysium. In the past, Yi Chen thought that the demonic human clan was not a threat, and that the low number of demonic human kings and demonic human clans was their biggest weakness. But now, he didn't think so. It turned out that there was a place called Chaotic Demonic Ocean outside of True Spirit Continent. We can't stay here for long. The demonic human clan raises millions of 4-winged black demonic insects. They don't have much intelligence, but they can transmit what they see back. They are the eyes of the demonic human clan in the entire chaotic demonic ocean. If we are discovered by them, we won't be able to escape even if we grow wings. As if thinking of something, Yu Bingxin said anxiously. Hearing Yu Bingxin's words, Yi Chen was inwardly astonished at the demonic human clan's control over chaotic demonic ocean. It wasn't that he hadn't seen these 4-winged black demonic insects before. In his early years, when he was merely at Condensing Reality Realm, he had encountered the 4-winged black demonic insects raised by Corpse Man's subordinates. In terms of battle strength, they were equivalent to 3rd-grade demonic beasts. However, when their numbers reached millions, they were extremely frightening. Most importantly, they weren't used for battle, but for scouting. In that case, let's leave this place first. Yi Chen wasn't arrogant enough to think that he could challenge the demonic human clan, so he nodded at Yu Bingxin. Not long after Yi Chen's group left, a large number of squeaking sounds came from afar. Before long, a black cloud rapidly moved over. This was naturally not a real cloud, but a black shadow formed by a large number of chopstick-shaped insects. At a glance, there were at least several thousand of them. These insects were exactly the same as the 4-winged black demonic insects that Yi Chen had seen before. However, they were much smaller, only 3 inches long. They were slender and black, with 4 pairs of thin black wings on their backs. Their heads were spherical, filled with silver-gray compound eyes. Everything in the surroundings was reflected in these compound eyes. The cloud formed by the 4-winged black demonic insects flew over the sea. Under the sunlight, the cloud's shadow followed closely behind. Splash! A 5th-grade demonic fish thought that the shadow was some kind of prey. It suddenly broke out of the water and opened its mouth, revealing a mouthful of sharp teeth. Buzz! The 4-winged black demonic insects were well disciplined, but dozens of them at the edge couldn't resist the temptation and suddenly left the group. Their 4 pairs of wings flapped rapidly, like black lights, piercing through the 5th-grade demonic fish's body. In just a short moment, the 5th-grade demonic fish was eaten until only an empty shell was left, falling into the sea. Satisfied, the 4-winged black demonic insects squeaked a few times and followed the group. If Yi Chen was here, he would definitely be incomparably shocked. In his impression, the 4-winged black demonic insects could only fight against 3rd-grade demonic beasts. Even if there were dozens of them, it was impossible for them to eat a 5th-grade demonic fish until only an empty shell was left. There was only one answer. These 4-winged black demonic insects were not 3rd grade, but 4th grade. The chaotic demonic sea was vast and had countless islands. On an ordinary island, Yu Bingxin's group was bidding farewell to Yi Chen and Murong Yu. "Young Master Yi, Miss Murong, we will take our leave first. If you have time, you can come visit my clan. My Silvermoon White Fox clan is located 50 million li to the northwest, on the Moonlight Island." Yu Bingxin's voice was clear and melodious. "All right, I'll come visit when I have time." Yi Chen faintly nodded. Yu Bingxin revealed a smile. "We still have matters to attend to, so we'll take our leave first. Let's go." After saying these words, Yu Bingxin led her clansmen and flew off the island. Watching them leave, Yi Chen said to Murong Qingcheng, "This place is too close to the scene of the incident. It's not very safe. Let's find another island and enter secluded cultivation." The large amount of Zhen Yuan and demonic crystals they had obtained on the Devouring Island was enough for the two to squander. The two were also preparing to break through to Half-Step King Realm. Murong Qingcheng still had demonic power essence left in her body. Her chances of breaking through to Half-Step King Realm in a short time were quite high. Riding the flying puppet for 3 days and 3 nights, the two arrived at a desolate island. After opening up their respective secluded cultivation spots, the two officially entered secluded cultivation. In the blink of an eye, more than half a month had passed. The news of more than 30 demonic humans being killed had long since reached the demonic human clan, causing quite a commotion. In the past few days, the number of 4-winged black demonic insects in the sky above chaotic demonic ocean had been increasing. Among the thousands of 4-winged black demonic insects, there were even smaller 6-winged black demonic insects. Such a huge commotion naturally made the martial artists in chaotic demonic ocean anxious. In the distant southeast, a huge golden bird with a wingspan of more than 30 meters was rushing toward chaotic demonic ocean with a dozen people on its back. "Crown Prince, chaotic demonic ocean is the territory of demonic human clan. If we enter, we might attract their attention." On the back of the huge golden bird was the Crown Prince of Blackwater Alliance, Wang Tai. At this moment, the tall old man beside Wang Tai spoke with some hesitation. With his hands behind his back, Wang Tai gazed at the scenery before him and said, "Although the demonic human clan is powerful, my Blackwater Alliance is not weak either. I believe that the demonic human clan will not purposely target us. They will most likely give us some face. As for that brat, no matter where he escapes, I will drag him out. My Blackwater Alliance's Zhen Yuan crystals are not for anyone to swallow." 2 million Zhen Yuan crystals was not a small number. It should be known that although Devouring Island was ruled by Blackwater Alliance, apart from its own consumption, Blackwater Alliance had to allocate a portion to some life and death kings who knew about it. Thus, Blackwater Alliance's annual stockpile was no more than 1,000,000 Jin Yuan crystals. The 2,000,000 Jin Yuan crystals Yi Chen had plundered were equivalent to 2 years of Blackwater Alliance's stockpile. Crown Prince's words are not without reason, but chaotic demonic ocean is boundless. Finding the two won't be easy. I'm worried that they might be captured by the demonic human clan. Demonic human clan has always been tyrannical, and they won't hand over the Jin Yuan crystals they've obtained. The tall old man voiced out his worries. Then let's hope they live a little longer. If they're captured by the demonic human clan, death is certain. Clearly, Wang Tai was also extremely apprehensive of the demonic human clan. This was a frightening power that even Blackwater Alliance couldn't afford to provoke. Chapter 772. While Wang Tai was searching for Yi Chen, the experts of the demonic human clan were also searching for the murderer of their clansman. For a long time, the human devil clan had been the overlord of the chaotic demon sea. As long as the 10 great families willed it, they could uproot and annihilate all forces in the chaotic demon sea except for the human devil clan. But now, someone had killed more than 30 of their clansmen, 3 of whom had already reached half-step king realm. This was simply unforgivable. The demonic human clan couldn't be compared to humans. The number of humans was too great, numbering in the trillions, thousands of times more than the demonic humans. Therefore, it didn't matter how many died. Moreover, demonic human clan's reproduction rate was much lower than humans. Adding on the fact that their population was small, 1 death meant 1 less. Moreover, half-step kings were the wealth of the demonic human clan. They were existences with hopes of becoming kings. Losing 3 at once was not a small loss. Therefore, the demonic human clan dispatched a lot of experts this time, more than any time in the past. Merely mid-sea of Soul Realm and above demonic humans numbered 600. 6 half-step demon human kings. The 600 Sea of Soul Realm demonic humans were divided into 3 groups, each led by 2 half-step demonic human kings. Apart from that, millions of 4-winged black demonic insects had also become the eyes of the demonic humans. As soon as a suspect appeared in their sight, they would immediately notice and rush over. This was not enough to show how much importance the demonic human clan attached to this matter. Apart from Sea of Soul Realm and half-step kings, the clan also dispatched a genuine demonic human king. Demonic human king was a king of the demonic human clan. Under similar cultivation bases, 2 life and death kings could contend against it. Buzz 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 buzz, with the scene as the center, group after group of 4-winged black demonic insects flew out like an inescapable net, slowly spreading out. Once this inescapable net took shape, one would truly be left with no path to the heavens and no door to the earth, unless one entered stunning sky or extreme void sky. However, one couldn't stay in these 2 skies for long. Stunning sky was filled with all kinds of pure yuan qi. Upon entering, one's Jin Yuan would be consumed at a rapid pace. Extreme void sky was even more tyrannical, consuming 10 times faster than stunning sky. Pop! Above the ocean where the incident happened, a mass of black gas suddenly appeared. Within the black gas was a lean old man dressed in black with a profound aura. The skinny old man looked down and scanned the surroundings. Soon, the skinny old man found a wreckage at the bottom of the sea. This wreckage was the corpse of a demonic human. After being eaten by the demonic fish, it was badly mutilated, leaving only bits of flesh on the bones. The wreckage was pulled up by a mysterious force and floated in front of the old man. Stretching out his right hand, the old man exerted his strength through the air and abruptly inhaled. Chi! An almost inaudible sound of something tearing through the air rang out. As the old man exerted his strength to inhale, a faintly discernible aura shot out from the wreckage. The black-robed old man carefully grasped this wisp of aura and sensed something. Peak Late Sea of Soul Realm Cultivation Base, Destruction Sword Intent. A moment later, the black-robed old man slowly spat out a few words. If Yi Chen were here, he would certainly be astonished. Not only could this man gather a wisp of faintly discernible aura from the wreckage, he could also discern the cultivation base and the sword intent he was using. This kind of ability was already not something a half-step king could accomplish. Only a life and death king could accomplish this. Killing a half-step king of my demonic human race with a cultivation base of Peak Late Sea of Soul Realm. I wonder which power this person came from. Could it be the Blood Sword Palace? Not likely. Although the young master of the Blood Sword Palace is also at Peak Late Sea of Soul Realm, his strength is inferior to this person. Moreover, the young master didn't comprehend the destruction sword intent. Apart from the young master of the Blood Sword Palace, who has a cultivation base of Peak Late Sea of Soul Realm, there aren't many who can battle higher realms. The black-robed old man's gaze turned profound as he inwardly speculated. Whether he's from the Blood Sword Palace or not, killing a half-step king of my demonic human race will have to pay a sufficient price. Letting out a breath, the black-robed old man's gaze turned sharp. The wreckage couldn't bear the pressure of the old man's gaze and exploded, turning into nothingness. Breaking through from Peak Late Sea of Soul Realm to Half-Step King Realm was a huge breakthrough, as well as a brand new beginning. Under Half-Step King Realm, the meridians were the circulation channels of Jin Yuan. If the meridians were damaged, the circulation of Jin Yuan would become sluggish, greatly reducing one's battle power. However, upon reaching Half-Step King Realm, not only the meridians, but also the blood circulation channels of Jin Yuan. Only by fusing Jin Yuan into the blood and forming a perfect circulation could one be considered to have officially stepped into Half-Step King Realm. However, achieving this was extremely difficult. Without outstanding talent and extraordinary willpower, Half-Step King Realm was like a flower in the mirror or the moon in the water. One could only stare at it helplessly. Fusing Jin Yuan into the blood was not a safe thing to do. The slightest bit of carelessness could lead to blood necrosis, weakening one's bodily functions, and reducing one's physical strength to the level of an old man past his prime. This was also the reason why half-step kings usually appeared in 5th grade and 4th grade powers. The chances of half-step kings appearing in 5th grade and below were extremely low. This was because when a 5th grade powers member tried to break through to half-step king realm, even if something went wrong, they would have life and death kings to help them adjust their chi and blood. Or, they could spend a huge price to refine some precious medicinal pellets to treat blood necrosis. In short, as long as there was a life and death king, breaking through to half-step king realm wouldn't be too dangerous. At worst, they could just wait until their body recovered and continue. Of course, this was a matter of having the ability to break through to half-step king realm. If one didn't, it wouldn't have anything to do with them. Yi Chen had already consolidated his Peak Late Sea of Soul Realm. In theory, he could attempt to break through to half-step king realm. Although without many years of accumulation, the chances of success were low, it wasn't impossible. Inside the spacious and simple cave, Yi Chen sat cross-legged on the hard ground with his palms facing the sky. Inside his body, Yi Chen's Jin Yuan flowed out of his dantian and slowly poured into his blood, attempting to fuse with it and circulate his Jin Yuan. There were many blood channels in the human body, and there were even more minute details. It was impossible to fuse them one by one. However, although breaking through to half-step king realm was difficult, it didn't require one to fuse all the blood at once. One only needed to fuse a part of the blood and complete a perfect circulation. This process was complicated and slow, requiring extreme patience. One couldn't be impatient at all. In the beginning, the process was quite smooth. In a short half a month, Yi Chen made progress every day, and he was getting closer and closer to the perfect circulation of Jin Yuan and blood. However, as time passed, Yi Chen discovered that the further he went, the slower his progress became. Now, even after a few days, he hadn't made even the slightest bit of progress. It turned out that there was a time limit for Jin Yuan to fuse with the blood. After this time limit, the Jin Yuan would withdraw from the blood. Only by completing a perfect circulation would the Jin Yuan remain in the blood forever. However, it was simply too difficult. The speed at which the blood flowed was not very fast, not to mention that it was a perfect cycle. Every time a cycle was completed halfway, the true essence in the front would begin to withdraw. Although the true essence in the back would continue to fuse into the blood, it could only maintain a balance. This won't do. The Jin Yuan isn't pure enough. The time it stays in the blood is too short. If it accelerates the blood flow, my heart won't be able to bear it. The reason why Yi Chen dared to break through to half-step king realm was because of his undying body. He didn't care about some minor injuries. However, the burden on his heart was too great, and it still exceeded the limits of his undying body. At most, he could only slightly overload it. After all, the heart was a major weakness of the human body, unlike other parts. Huff. Opening his eyes, Yi Chen forcefully exhaled a mouthful of turbid air and stood up. I wonder how Murong Qingqing is doing. Her demonic power is very pure, and her fourth-step demonic body is also stronger than my spirit body. She should have a high chance of entering half-step king realm. Murong Qingqing had demonic power essence in her body, which was the essence of king-grade demonic power. It had an extraordinary effect on refining demonic body. On the Devouring Island, her demonic body had successfully upgraded from third step to fourth step, allowing her to break through to half-step king realm. Shaking his head, Yi Chen walked out of the cave and arrived at a spacious area outside. I've already obtained the foundation of Space Profound for a long time. My Space Profound has been steadily improving, approaching 40% completion. The might of Void Shattering Finger containing Space Profound has also surpassed Golden Ripple. Unfortunately, Void Shattering Finger is a finger art without the amplification of a sword. Moreover, its variations are too little. If I could create my own Space Profound sword art based on Space Profound, its might would be able to catch up to Waning Moon. Only by combining profound martial arts with artifacts could one erupt with greater might. Using the Void Shattering Finger required artifact gloves, but since Yi Chen used a sword, wearing gloves would have a negative effect. Creating a Space Profound sword art was very useful to Yi Chen. Space Profound was one of the strongest profounds. 10% of it was equivalent to 30% of other profounds. Once it reached 40 to 50% completion, the Space Profound sword art created would surpass Waning Moon. Most importantly, Space Profound sword arts were unpredictable, far more threatening than Waning Moon. Standing on the empty ground, Yi Chen closed his eyes as an image appeared in his mind. It was a sword artist performing a sword art. This sword art was very mysterious and unpredictable. It was obvious that the sword was thrown out, but it was still very far away from the target, but in the next second, it had already destroyed the target. Plus, the sword art was extremely fast, creating a space-folding effect. Looking at it, one would not be able to tell the trajectory of the sword art at all. Clang! All of a sudden, Yi Chen opened his eyes and pulled out the Thunder Disaster Sword. Relying on his intuition, he slashed out 49 times, each sword faster than the previous one. One could see that Yi Chen's movements were exactly the same as the sword artist in his mind. However, the sword art's effect was not as good as the sword artist's in his mind. It could only make the sword art's trajectory blurry, creating countless afterimages, and was unable to create a spatial folding effect. Kacha kacha kacha. Even so, the surrounding boulders still shattered like broken mirrors. The ground beneath Yi Chen's feet also seemed to have turned into a huge piece of glass. Cracks spread everywhere before it collapsed with a loud rumble. This was not the effect of sword chi, but the power of space through sword arts. When Space Profound reached a certain level, no one under Life and Death Realm would be able to receive a single sword strike from Yi Chen. After all, a single sword strike from Yi Chen would be equivalent to tearing the space apart. Under life and death realm, who could resist the tearing of space? Chapter 773. The tide slapped against the reefs at the edge of the island, again and again. Several li away from the island, a four-winged black demonic insect had unknowingly appeared there. Its body was motionless, and the 4 pairs of black wings on its back were rhythmically flapping up and down, maintaining an incomparably balanced state. At a glance, it seemed to be fixed there. The insect's head was round and full of compound eyes. At this moment, the scenery of the island appeared in its compound eyes. Some were near, some were far. The most bizarre thing was that it seemed to have a magnifying function. Before long, the image of a person appeared in its compound eyes. This person was none other than Yi Chen. Yi Chen still didn't know that he had been targeted by a 4-winged black demonic insect. After all, he was not an Iron Man, and couldn't release his soul power without restraint. Overconsumption of soul power would take a long time to recover. Not being able to recover in half a month was quite normal. After practicing sword arts for half a day, Yi Chen saw that Murong Qingqing wasn't moving at all. He knew that she was still trying to break through to half-step king realm, so he didn't disturb her. Although he had failed to break through, he still had many other things to do. For example, comprehending space profound. The space profound he had obtained in the graveyard of 4 Extreme Emperor could be said to be a priceless treasure. With it, Yi Chen's speed of comprehending space had increased by several folds, and his own comprehension ability was several times that of ordinary people. With the two added together, it would be dozens of times, or even more than 20 times. Returning to the cave, Yi Chen sat cross-legged on the ground and took a deep breath, entering an ethereal state. Then, he released his incorporeal soul power, spreading it over several hundred meters. The smaller the range of soul power, the less soul power would be consumed. With Yi Chen's soul power, he could maintain it for 10 days to half a month. Soul power was a perception many times greater than the 5 senses. Under Yi Chen's control, he gradually captured the spatial ripples within several hundred meters. The space was constantly fluctuating. Of course, these fluctuations were very small, so small that they were negligible. But, they were still there. Space was illusory and unfathomable. Soul power was incorporeal and unfathomable. Only soul power could capture spatial ripples. This was also the reason why all life and death kings would dabble in space profound. Their soul power was too powerful. According to the basic knowledge of space profound in his head, Yi Chen used his soul power to capture the space energy fluctuations while comprehending the space profound. In another cave, Murong Qingqing was sitting there with her legs crossed, unmoving. From time to time, a black brilliance blossomed from her body. This brilliance was sometimes strong, sometimes dim, sometimes ostentatious, and sometimes reserved. The interior of the cave was illuminated in a strange and dazzling light. At this moment, Murong Qingqing was in the late stage of the half-step demon king realm. She was different from Yi Chen. She had demonic power essence within her body, and the demonic power she refined was exceptionally pure. If not for the limitation of realm, refining demonic power into half-step king realm wouldn't be a problem. After all, the demonic power essence was the demonic power essence of a demon king. Rather than refining, it was more appropriate to describe it as diluting and refining. The demonic power essence was first diluted and then refined into her demonic power. With such pure demonic power, Murong Qingqing's chances of breaking through to half-step king realm were naturally higher than humans and other demonic humans. Apart from this, Murong Qingqing had another huge advantage. As a demonic human with perfect bloodline and a 4th-step demonic body, her life level was higher than that of humans and demonic beasts. She was close to the life level of the demon race. Therefore, her heart's ability to produce blood was extremely powerful, and her heart's capacity far surpassed humans of the same level. For example, Yi Chen's blood flow was similar to that of humans. But now, her blood flow had reached a frightening level, and her heart was beating at a frightening frequency. It was no longer beating, but vibrating. Swish. When blood flowed normally, no sound could be heard. But now, Murong Qingqing's blood was issuing a sound like a stream flowing down a mountain. Such a rapid flow caused Murong Qingqing's fair face to turn red, making her look like a red beauty. Above her head, white mist curled up, faintly emitting a red light in a faint bloody aura. It's here. A day later, a large group of uninvited guests arrived on the ocean outside the island. These uninvited guests were the troops of the demonic human clan. There were 202 of them, 2 half-step demonic human kings and 200 Sea of Soul Realm demonic humans. They were able to find this place because of the information transmitted by the 4-winged black demonic insect. As for finding this place in a day, it was mainly because they weren't far from the island. As soon as they obtained the whereabouts of the suspects, they immediately rushed over. White Nightmare, I'm afraid we won't be able to catch them with just the 2 of us. Right now, our best course of action is to use an enchantment to seal the island and prevent them from escaping. Among the 2 half-step demonic human kings, a rather fat middle-aged demonic human said. The half-step demonic human king called White Nightmare had a very strange appearance. His head was bald, and his face and head were covered in white spots. His eyes also had more whites than pupils, making them look like 2 black dots. He had no eyebrows and was emitting a sinister killing intent. That would be best. Let's use the hidden fog enchantment. White Nightmare nodded, his eyes fixated on the island. You 108, come out and surround the island. Use the hidden fog enchantment to seal the island. Don't let a fly or a bug escape. The fat demonic human ordered the demonic humans behind him. Yes. Without needing to be called out, 108 Sea of Soul Realm demonic humans walked out and flew along the edge of the island. Seeing his clansmen carrying out the order and surrounding the island, the fat demonic man let out a sigh and said, killing my clansmen in the chaotic demonic ocean. I wonder who the other party is. Could it be a half-step king of the Blood Sword Palace or someone from the Skull Island? White Nightmare sneered, be it Blood Sword Palace or Skull Island, killing my clansmen will have to pay the price. That's natural. Although Blood Sword Palace and Skull Island are powerful, they're still lacking compared to my clan. The fat demonic human chuckled. As the 2 of them spoke, 108 light black pillars suddenly rose from the outer edge of the island. The pillars rose in an arc and collided with each other in the sky above the island. In the next moment, the island was covered by a light black membrane. The scene inside distorted and then disappeared completely. The light black membrane also gradually turned into mist. From the outside, it seemed as if there was no island at all. There was only thick black mist, rolling and surging. Success! Seeing this, the fat demonic human heaved a sigh of relief, and the smile on his face became even more radiant. I'll go test him. White Nightmare said indifferently before his figure flickered and shot toward the surging black mist. White Nightmare, don't be impulsive. The fat demonic human was startled. Rest assured, you still don't believe in my strength. Moreover, with the hidden fog enchantment, you can attack and retreat at will. White Nightmare's voice resounded. Hearing these words, the fat demonic human smiled bitterly. He was naturally aware of White Nightmare's strength. Of the 3 half-step kings who had died half a month ago, the strongest was Guli. Guli could be considered a powerful half-step king among the demonic humans. However, White Nightmare's strength was a level higher than Guli's. He was a peak half-step king of the demonic human clan. Under the same level, a demonic human was equivalent to 2 humans. White Nightmare could contend against 2 peak half-step kings without any problem. However, the opponent could kill 3 half-step kings, including Guli, as well as more than 30 Sea of Soul Realm demonic humans. His strength was no small matter. With White Nightmare's strength, he might not be able to deal with him easily. Fortunately, as White Nightmare had said, with the hidden fog enchantment, he could attack and retreat at will. There was no need to worry about his safety. Fine, let's see how strong this person is first. If he can be dealt with, there's no need to wait for others. With this thought in mind, the fat demonic human followed. On the island, Yi Chen, who was comprehending the space profound, felt something amiss. Previously, he could still feel the gale blowing through the mountain. But now, the gale had stopped, and the island was completely silent, as if it had been isolated from the world. Buzz! His soul power, which was only several hundred meters wide, suddenly expanded, instantly covering the entire island and continuing to spread out. Not good. It's an enchantment. His soul power was obstructed by a layer of barrier, as if it had sunk into a swamp. In his soul perception, there was a boundless black fog surging out. Rip! With a flash of sword light, Yi Chen broke out of the mountain and appeared above the island. The ocean outside the island had disappeared from his line of sight, replaced by layers of black fog. It was exactly the same as in his soul perception. At this moment, an opening appeared in the black fog, and two figures flew in. Demonic humans. Yi Chen squinted his eyes. They were naturally White Nightmare and the fat demonic human. They had also noticed Yi Chen. Are you the one who killed my demonic human clansman? The fat demonic human shouted. Yi Chen said without batting an eyelid, I'm afraid you're not here to ask whether I'm a murderer or not. So, why bother asking? With the demonic human race's tyranny, as long as he was a suspect, it didn't matter if he was the murderer or not. Then you're the murderer. White Nightmare sized up Yi Chen and said coldly. Correct. Yi Chen didn't plan to hide it. There was no point in hiding it. Very good. Being able to kill Ghoulie means you have some strength. I, White Nightmare, will test you first. Hearing Yi Chen admit that he was the murderer, White Nightmare released his killing intent like a devil. Bring it on then. Yi Chen was confident that he could break the barrier. The barrier was actually a method of using spatial power, but it was powered by formations. With the void-shattering finger, it shouldn't be hard to open a path through the barrier. However, he couldn't leave the island right now. Murong still hadn't come out, which meant that she was in a crucial moment of breaking into the half-step king realm. Once interrupted, she would need a long time to break into the half-step king realm again. The details were very complicated. Therefore, he had to observe the situation first. Do along, don't do anything. I'll deal with him. White Nightmare said to the fat demonic human. Be careful. The fat demonic human took a step back and glanced at the place where Murong Qingcheng was cultivating. A cold light flashed in his eyes. Chapter 774. White Nightmare didn't have the perfect demonic human bloodline, so he still cultivated Jin Yuan. However, his Jin Yuan was contaminated with a large amount of demonic qi. This demonic qi mixed with Jin Yuan, but not only did it not decrease the destructive power of Jin Yuan, it instead made it even more berserk. As White Nightmare circulated his Jin Yuan with all his strength, an ash-gray qi flow appeared outside his body and violently revolved around him. A frightening pressure swept out in all directions, dispersing much of the black mist at the edge of the island. Some of the small hills on the island even turned into ashes, scattering between the heaven and earth. Although this cultivation base is not as good as Blackwater Alliance's Wang Tai, it's not the slightest bit inferior to Flame Burst King. In terms of pressure, Flame Burst King is a lot weaker. Seems like Demonic Human Clan is worthy of being the ruler of chaotic demonic ocean. Their resources are unimaginable. Half-Step King was a process of accumulating Jin Yuan. The more vigorous the Jin Yuan, the more hope one had of reaching peak Half-Step King, and the chance of breaking through to life and death realm. If one's Jin Yuan accumulation was insufficient, then breaking through to life and death realm would be a long way off. It was extremely difficult for a Half-Step King to accumulate Jin Yuan. If one cultivated with upper-grade spirit stones, one might not be able to reach peak half-step king in 100 years. Cultivating with supreme-grade spirit stones would increase the speed by many folds, and the best choice was none other than Jin Yuan crystals. This was a shortcut. Unfortunately, supreme-grade spirit stones were too hard to find. Even 5th-grade sects might not have much in stock, and Jin Yuan crystals could only be produced by Life and Death Kings. Flame Burst King's cultivation base was so deep because he was trapped on Devouring Island. Every month, he would have a lot of Jin Yuan crystals for cultivation. Wang Tai's cultivation base was twice that of Flame Burst King, and he was suspected to be a strongest half-step king. This was also because he was an important figure of Blackwater Alliance, so he didn't need to worry about Jin Yuan crystals. The Thunder Spirit King from the True Spirit Continent was one of the top half-step king warriors, so it would be impossible for him to have an endless amount of extreme-rank spirit stones, not to mention Jin Yuan crystals. He might have been lucky enough to get some other treasures to increase his cultivation, since he was not that old after all. If he were to rely on accumulating his cultivation, it would take him at least dozens of years to reach that level. Therefore, Yi Chen clearly understood that cultivation talent was important, but so were resources. For example, in half-step king realm, if one had sufficient resources, one's cultivation base could increase by 10 times, or even dozens of times. Others wouldn't be able to catch up no matter how hard they tried. Bang! He took a step forward, and energy ripples spread in all directions. Bai Hao roared. His arms turned into countless phantoms, attacking Yi Chen fiercely. The space in front of White Nightmare distorted, and a large amount of grayish-white energy shot out like sharp blades. Some spun, some slashed, and some collided with each other, changing directions. In an instant, the dense grayish-white energy was like an inescapable net, enveloping Yi Chen's figure. Yi Chen's eyes were sharp as he observed the trajectory of the chi flow. He then pulled out his Thunder Disaster Sword, slashing upwards, slashing sideways, sweeping, and stabbing. Although there were a lot of gray chi flows, none of them could get within 3 meters of Yi Chen. It was as if this area was an absolute domain that nothing could get close to. Dang! In the void, some of the chi flows collided and changed directions again. However, it was futile. Yi Chen's spiritual sword was extremely fast and silent. Sometimes, the chi flows were clearly coming from behind Yi Chen. Yi Chen was intercepting the chi flows in front of him, but they would be shattered by the time they got within 3 meters. Yi Chen simply didn't know when Yi Chen would counterattack. Under the life and death realm, Yi Chen's sword arts were already at an unfathomable realm. Any offensive techniques would be useless against him. As if realizing this, White Nightmare gave up on fighting speed and switched to a powerful killing move. Void Forcing Chop. White Nightmare roared, and his sturdy right hand turned into a bone blade. Grayish-white chi curled around the bone blade as he launched a powerful strike at Yi Chen. Rip! Grayish-white blade chi slashed down with peerless tyranny. Yi Chen's body slanted upwards. Facing the blade chi, he swept his sword diagonally, and a dark golden ripple burst forth, destroying White Nightmare's killing move. At the same time, Yi Chen's left hand was not idle either. His fingers formed a sword and pointed at the nearby White Nightmare. Go! The blood-ruined sword left its scabbard and turned into 9 sword images, shooting at White Nightmare. Imperial Sword Attack. White Nightmare was gobsmacked. He had heard of this lost sword art before. It was said that in ancient times, there was an era of swordsmen. There were many swordsmen among martial artists, and the imperial sword art was one of the most legendary sword arts. This sword art had an extremely high requirement on soul power. Without a soul power talent, one could not bring out the essence of this sword art. Flying swords controlled by the imperial sword art were incomparably fast. Before the enemy could even react, they would be pierced through the heart or decapitated. It was impossible to defend against. Cultivated to the highest realm, one could unleash 81 swords simultaneously, striking fear into the hearts of others and forcing them to retreat. Although Yi Chen's imperial sword art had only reached the realm of 9 swords simultaneously, it could not be looked down upon. Just the speed of the flying swords was enough to make many people suffer. Having no time to defend, White Nightmare crossed his arms and curled his body into a ball. Grayish-white chi crazily revolved around him, forming a shield of light. Ding 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 ding, rip. The majority of the 9 sword phantoms were repelled. Only the blood-ruined sword's attack power was the strongest. It instantly pierced through White Nightmare's protective Jin Yuan and was about to strike his body. Get lost. White Nightmare's curled body stretched out, and the powerful Jin Yuan in his body erupted like a sun, blasting away the blood-ruined sword's main body. What a powerful Jin Yuan! Yi Chen squinted his eyes. This sword of his could already kill the majority of half-step kings. Half a month ago, the middle-aged demonic man had suffered a bit of injury when facing the imperial sword art. Who would have thought that White Nightmare's Jin Yuan would be so much stronger than that of the middle-aged demonic man? The imperial sword art would be ineffective. After repelling the blood-ruined sword's main body, White Nightmare hastily retreated. There was a shallow sword scar on his arm, but it could only be regarded as a flesh wound. The sword chi contained within had long been forced out by his Jin Yuan. However, Yi Chen was only at the peak of late Sea of Soul realm. If he were to advance to half-step king realm, wouldn't he be killed in one sword strike? White Nightmare, delay him. At this moment, the fat demonic man suddenly shot a glance at White Nightmare. What are you doing? White Nightmare transmitted his Jin Yuan. His companion is there, and he should be cultivating in seclusion. As long as we capture his companion, we can make him restrain himself and bring him back alive. The fat demonic man's thoughts were deeper than White Nightmare's. Capturing Yi Chen alive was more beneficial than killing Yi Chen. At this moment, he had already determined the specific location of Yi Chen's companion. All right. White Nightmare faintly nodded. He was not an honorable person. For the sake of his goal, he would be unscrupulous. Buzz. A huge iron shield appeared in his left hand as he inwardly thought, close combat is my advantage. Let's see how you resist. Swish. Holding the shield, White Nightmare pounced at Yi Chen. Dragging things out like this is not a solution. This place has already been discovered, and more demonic humans are rushing over. I'd better kill these two first. Yi Chen's killing intent was set, and he didn't want to drag things out any longer. Waning Moon. Holding the sword with both of his hands, Yi Chen slashed down with all his might. The crescent-shaped sword energy looked like a black crescent moon as it flew out, leaving a clear sword mark in the air that did not disappear for a long time. Facing this sword, White Nightmare felt as if the entire world had disappeared, and he had lost track of Yi Chen as well. It was as if he was flying in a boundless white world, and what greeted him was a boundless black sword energy. I have to block it. White Nightmare didn't have the time to launch an attack. He raised the huge iron shield in front of him and shrunk his body behind it. As Jin Yuan poured into the shield, it blossomed with a gray-white radiance and rapidly enlarged into a small mountain, blocking the black sword energy. Clang! Dazzling sparks flew everywhere, and cracks appeared on the shield in White Nightmare's hand. The cracks spread out from the sword mark in the center, producing a teeth-numbing metal cracking sound. If not for White Nightmare's Jin Yuan being strong enough, the shield would have long since shattered. There was a loud bang. White Nightmare held the shield upside down as his whole body shot out. He came and went quickly, spurting out a mouthful of blood in midair. His face was extremely pale. On the other side, the fat demonic man had flown toward Murong Qingqing's seclusion location at an extreme speed the moment Yi Chen made his move. However, he didn't expect White Nightmare to be defeated so quickly. He didn't have much time left, so he had to capture Yi Chen's companions first and make them hesitate. Scram! Yi Chen sensed the fat demonic man's movements and saw that he wasn't far from Murong Qingqing's seclusion cave. Ordinary sword chi wouldn't be able to catch up. Yi Chen's expression turned cold as he extended his left index finger and pointed at the fat demonic man. It was precisely the void-shattering finger. The trajectory of the finger energy couldn't be seen, but Yi Chen's finger only pointed once, and the space around the fat demonic man immediately distorted. The boundless finger energy sent him flying, making him somersault in the air. Swoosh swoosh. With one finger attack, Yi Chen repeatedly used the void-shattering finger. Transparent traces of distortion appeared in the air, exploding around the fat demonic man. What a powerful finger energy! The fat demonic man turned pale with fright and retreated again and again, unable to get close to Murong Qingqing. Go! With a loud shout, the fat demonic man no longer had the heart to fight. He flew toward the black mist at the edge of the island and roared at White Nightmare. Yi Chen's expression turned even colder as he chased after him. However, the barrier's power was extremely mysterious. Yi Chen had only entered a few dozen meters into the black mist when he lost track of the two. Moreover, he himself was about to get lost in the black mist. Left with no choice, Yi Chen could only retreat from the black mist and return to the sky above the island. Outside the barrier, White Nightmare continuously vomited blood. We underestimated him. Seeing White Nightmare's appearance, the fat demonic man said with a gloomy expression. White Nightmare waved his hand. I'm going to meditate. Don't let anyone disturb me. His injuries were too severe. Even with a demonic human's physique, he couldn't bear it. Landing on a huge reef outside the island, White Nightmare sat cross-legged and took out a scarlet pill from his storage ring. Swallowing it, he closed his eyes and focused on healing. Chapter 775. His injuries are so heavy. The fat demonic man thought that White Nightmare had only suffered ordinary injuries. How could he have imagined that even speaking would be exhausting? Moreover, the pellet he took out was the famous blood yuan pellet of the demonic human clan. This kind of pellet was only used when suffering from incurable injuries. Even half-step demonic human kings like them only had one pellet each. After using it, they would have to wait until next year to reclaim it. This kid can't be dealt with alone. I'll have to wait for all four of them to arrive before using the six-way cloud pollution. The fat demonic man inwardly said. Inside the enchantment, on the island, putting away the thunder disaster sword, Yi Chen turned around and glanced at Murong Qingqing's seclusion. I wonder when Murong Qingqing will finish her seclusion and become a half-step demonic human king. Yi Chen was a bit hesitant. If Murong Qingqing still needed a few more days to finish her seclusion, the longer he stayed here, the more danger he would face. Who knew how many experts the demonic human clan had sent? Once the number of Sea of Soul Realm demonic humans reached a certain level, coupled with a few half-step demonic human kings, he would have no choice but to flee. What he was most worried about was whether the demonic human clan had sent a demonic human king. Life and Death Kings were the peak strength of Elysium. Only by reaching this realm could one truly move freely between heaven and earth. Life and Death Kings were extremely difficult to kill. Among them, even the weakest had cultivated limb rebirth. As long as their head and heart were not destroyed, they would be completely fine. At the flesh derivation realm, even if they were beaten into meat paste, they could come back to life. The most powerful was the blood rebirth realm. As long as a drop of blood remained, even the smallest drop of blood could be reborn. Being chased by a demonic human king was the most frightening thing. Forget it. I'll wait one more day. If it doesn't work, I'll wake Murong up and have her break the enchantment. Relaxing his furrowed brows, Yi Chen said inwardly. However, I only have a certain amount of confidence in breaking the barrier. I might not succeed. I should take this opportunity to comprehend the space ultimacy. Every little bit counts. Right now, I'm only one step away from reaching 40% of the space ultimacy. Maybe I can reach it. 10% of space profound was equivalent to 30% of ordinary profounds, and 40% of space profound was equivalent to 120% of ordinary profounds. This was already more powerful than the perfection of ordinary profounds. Once he reached this realm, the might of void-shattering finger alone would not be inferior to waning moon. Returning to his cave, Yi Chen continued to comprehend the space profound, trying to figure out the basics of it. In the abode where Murong was, the black light flickered more and more frequently. The white mist had already filled the entire abode. It was so hot that one could not even see their fingers if they stretched out their hands. In the center of the cave, Murong Qingcheng was covered in a thick white mist, which was rising up from the top of her head in an endless stream. On the other hand, Murong Qingcheng's face was abnormally red, and her lips were starting to feel dry, not as smooth and moist as before. Her blood flowed faster, evaporating the water in her body. Even though she had the perfect demonic human bloodline, she couldn't withstand the rapid loss of water. After all, she was still a flesh body, not an energy body. Water was very important to a living being. Time passed bit by bit. Murong Qingcheng's body was losing more and more water. Her lips started to crack, and her long black hair started to lose its luster. Meanwhile, her breathing was getting heavier and heavier. Night fell, and a waning moon hung in the sky. Both inside and outside the enchantment were racing against time. Swoosh! 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 Suddenly, the sound of something tearing through the air could be heard in the distance. It was extremely fast. Previously, it had been indistinct, but in the blink of an eye, it could be heard clearly. They're here. The fat demonic human revealed a happy expression. He stood up and flew into the sky. Huh, Dolong, I didn't expect you to arrive first and even set up the hidden fog enchantment. More than 200 people flew over. The one speaking was a red-robed demonic human. He was tall and burly, with a square head and a face covered in black scales. Hey Lin, you guys are so slow. The fat demonic human Dolong laughed. We were a bit slow. We also had a few suspects, but they were too weak. They couldn't be the culprit, so I killed them casually. The red-robed demonic human He Lin didn't mind. Yes, I killed them. Dolong nodded. Why is White Nightmare injured? Who injured him? The grey-robed demonic human beside He Lin exclaimed. Hearing this, He Lin also looked over. Dolong's expression darkened. We've already fought with the culprit who killed our clansman. He injured White Nightmare. This person is so strong. Can you tell us in detail? He Lin's expression was grave. Doran told the two of them everything that had happened. White Nightmare almost died at his hands. He Lin said in a low voice. White Nightmare's strength was the strongest in their group, but even he had suffered a crushing defeat at Yi Chen's hands. One could imagine how powerful Yi Chen was. I was planning to go in and kill the culprit right now. Seems like we'll have to wait a bit longer. The grey-robed demonic human glanced at the enchantment and said. Right. White Nightmare is currently recovering from his injuries. The three of us don't have much assurance. Of course, with several hundred clansmen, we don't need to fear him. As long as he doesn't run, killing him won't be a problem. However, there's a chance that he might escape. Once he does, it'll take a lot more time to find him. Wait for Blue Blood and the rest to arrive. With the six of us working together in the six-way cloud pollution, even at the strongest half-step king won't be able to escape unscathed. And, let's wait. The three chose a towering reef and sat cross-legged, calmly waiting. Time flew by, and a smear of reddish-orange appeared on the ocean. Before long, an intense ray of sunlight shone from the end of the ocean. The sky was bright. An abnormally powerful spatial ripple transmitted from Yi Chen's cave. Under this spatial ripple, the mountain peak distorted like a reflection in the water. As the water rippled, the reflection naturally rippled along with it. It was an incomparably profound scene. The frequency of the spatial ripple increased, and the mountain peak distorted more and more. Finally. Pang! The entire mountain peak shattered like a mirror, folding into countless pieces and scattering into a pile. On top of the pile of rubble, Yi Chen floated, his long hair fluttering in the wind. One could see the space around his body distorting, as if he was not in this world. 40% space profound, done. Opening his eyes, Yi Chen revealed a joyous expression. For Extreme Emperor's foundation of space profound was too precious. With this foundation, Yi Chen was no longer like before, fumbling about on his own. Sometimes, he would wander aimlessly and waste a lot of time. With the help of the foundation, Yi Chen could comprehend space profound in a regular pattern. Although he might not make any progress at times, once he did, it would lead to a chain of comprehensions. 40% space profound was already equivalent to 120% of ordinary profounds. Even the majority of life and death kings might not be able to compare to him in terms of space profound. After all, Yi Chen's comprehension ability was 5 times that of ordinary people, and he also had the foundation of space profound. His superiority was simply too great. After this matter, I'll start creating space profound sword arts. Only by creating my own space profound sword art can I display the full effect of space profound. Other people's profound martial skills were others in the end, and their perception would not be as deep. Nobody could understand their own profound martial skills as well. Murong's side seems to have made great progress. Floating in the air, Yi Chen sensed a powerful demonic ripple coming from Murong Qingcheng. This demonic ripple was no longer at Sea of Soul Realm, but close to Half-Step King Realm. Evidently, Murong Qingcheng was about to break through, perhaps in the next moment. You're all here. Just as Yi Chen exited his seclusion, a new situation occurred outside the enchantment. Another group of demonic humans rushed over, 202 in number. Adding the others, all the experts dispatched by demonic humans had arrived. We were just waiting for you. Black Scales let out a sigh of relief and smiled. What? The person inside the enchantment is very troublesome. Even the 4 of you can't handle him. Of the 2 half-step demonic human kings, one had light blue skin while the other had a wooden expression. Sensing the problem, the blue-skinned half-step demonic human king said, "He's much more troublesome than you think. But, now that everyone is here, he won't be able to escape even if he grows wings. He can only obediently wait to be captured. White Nightmare's treatment is almost complete." At this moment, the fat demonic human duo Long said. It's a good time. About half the time it takes to brew a cup of tea later, White Nightmare, who was sitting cross-legged on a reef, opened his eyes. Surging Jin Yuan rushed out, shattering the surrounding reef and reversing the waves. He stood up and flew to the side of the group, then said with killing intent, "Let's do it. Go, let's go." Duo Long signaled the Sea of Soul Realm demonic humans to open a hole in the enchantment. Swish! Their figures flickered as they entered, and the other Sea of Soul Realm demonic humans followed behind, flying in batches. The enchantment closed, leaving only 108 Sea of Soul Realm demonic humans in charge of maintaining the enchantment. 6 half-step demonic human kings and 500 Sea of Soul Realm demonic humans. Yi Chen's complexion was unsightly. He didn't expect so many experts to arrive. 1 White Nightmare was already not weak, and 5 half-step demonic human kings were no small matter. Moreover, 500 Sea of Soul Realm demonic humans were already a medium-sized force, capable of sweeping across half-step kings. Yi Chen was astonished, but White Nightmare and the rest were even more astonished. They were not astonished by Yi Chen, but by Murong Qingcheng's seclusion location. An extremely pure demonic power ripple was transmitted from there. It should be known that demonic power could only be cultivated by perfect demonic human bloodline. Humans and ordinary demonic humans simply couldn't cultivate it. Could this kid's companion be a perfect demonic human? This was simply unimaginable. Moreover, from the demonic power ripple, the other party seemed to be in the process of breaking through. Once a perfect demonic human broke through to the half-step king realm, they would become a perfect half-step king. You're tuning in to the Han Lee's Wuxia Adventures YouTube channel. We're so grateful for your support, and don't forget to subscribe to join us on this incredible journey through captivating stories. Your generosity through donations truly makes a world of difference, as it's the primary source of revenue that allows me to expand and enhance this channel for you. Thank you from the bottom of my heart for being a part of this adventure.